Slurpty dub, my G's. So as quick as we can, we're going to together create a 8-bar riser that's universally used in drum and bass and can fit into any track. That could be great for the build-up just before you drop. So I've just got this project that I'm currently kind of toying around with, the little work in progress. And all we're going to use to create a classic riser is Vital and then a bit of post-processing. So this track is in D. So I'm going to just play in a D note quickly here. So I'm just going to record in a D to set things up for the Vital. And so we'll just lengthen that out and then make that go all the way to the end of our little loop here. So we've got the right length for it, and then we can start to program it. And so we're going to jump over into Vital, and we're going to use a combination of a saw wave and also white noise to create this riser. So let's solo it here. And so let's check this over into a saw wave like this. And we'll take the pitch up a little bit for this one. We'll start around... should we start there or a bit lower? We'll do a higher pitched one for this riser. You could do it at a lower pitch if you want. So we're going to use 2 LFOs. The first one is going to go on the level. I'm going to go up again. This doesn't always have to be a whole octave, but we're going to do a whole octave for this riser. And then we're going to select the shape for this first one. It's going to be a saw up, and this one is going to be then we're going to do 8 bars. So excuse the fact that it's a little bit harsh sounding at the moment. That's going to change, don't worry. We can take the level down a bit to begin with. And we can add a bit of unison on here. Let's just do 3 voices. And we could actually increase the detuning. This is just an idea I've thought of the top of my head. So we can put the LFO onto here as well. So that'll give it a nice amount of intensity already. Nice and, yeah, in line with our kind of feeling for the riser. Now we'll do a bit of white noise. And for this one, we're going to add a filter to filter that noise so it's just the high end. So we're going to switch on sample mode on this filter, drag this over to the right so it's a high pass, and then we're going to just have that sort of amount there. But what we want to do next with this noise especially is we want to start to add some movement on it. So I'm going to use the level mode. We're going to use a second LFO onto the level, and we're going to create a fast increasing kind of flutter effect here. So it's going to start, maybe we could start around that speed, and we're just going to use the LFO 1 and drag that over onto the seconds so that we can increase the speed over time. Okay, and as you can see, it's doing a different rhythm to the detuning of the saw wave, but that's fine. It doesn't really matter. It's quite nice to have 2 counter rhythms going on. I'm just going to get the level on that right. Okay, now we're going to run all of that through another filter, and this time we're going to do some kind of phase filter effect. So we're going to pick one of these ones. I'm going to pick the phaser positive, I think. And again, let's do a little movement with the LFO 2 on the cutoff. So it's kind of going to have a little movement on the whole sound like this. And we'll make it a little bit more subtle just by bringing the mix back a bit. But there we go. We've got a nice little way to shape the sound already with the filter. Now we're going to start to really wash the sound out. And we're going to do a bit of washing out in Vital, and then we're going to further process it outside. So firstly, we'll do chorus. Yeah, it sounds pretty good for me around there. Next up, we can even do a little bit of delay, a nice stereo delay. So let's take it off the grid here and do a ping pong kind of delay. It's going to add in some extra kind of content around, but it's going to be a very weird timing. So I'm going to use the mix on a low kind of level here. We can also go ahead and make the attack of the riser start a bit softer like this. Okay, and finally we can actually do a little bit of flanging, because that'll again create a little bit of variation. So the idea with this one is we're really just going to mix it in a little bit again. We'll put a bit of pitch variation into the sound though, which is important. Then we're going to do reverb next. All right, so this one can go quite high. That's pretty nice. I quite like that, and that's going to be, I think, an absolutely perfect place to stop for the vital side of things. So we've got the kind of basis for the sound there. So let's bounce that out, and we can quickly test it in with the rest of the elements in the track and just make sure it kind of fits. I've muted a bunch of elements already, just because it's quite a hectic build-up already in this particular song. But let's have a listen kind of now with some of the background elements. Okay, so we got to make sure we bring that tail out as well here. So in this particular case, I feel like the white noise is almost a little bit too overbearing, but it's going to become softer when we further just wash the sound out. So let's wash the sound out with a number of methods. Firstly, we'll do a bit of Valhalla Supermassive. So that's really washing it out nicely. Then we'll go on, and there's really no rules here. I'm going to do a bit of extra convolution reverb, and I know one setting that will soften the high end a bit, which is the Falkland Palace preset on the space is real here on the kilohertz convolver, and I believe this one usually takes out a little bit of high end. We're going to mix this in a bit. Okay, I like it around there. That's pretty nice. And we could keep going and adding loads more plugins if we want, because there's no rules for sound design here. But one thing I will do next is my kind of favourite plugin at the moment, which is the tape emulation. And we can add in a bit of extra sort of pitch movement here. This one here is the slight drum character. Yeah, you sort of heard it a lot right at the end of the sound, how it adds this vibrato effect. It really adds a really crazy kind of pitching vibrato to the whole thing, which is just going to make it even more natural, you know. So let's mix that effect in, because on the tape thing you can use the dry wet to mix the effect in here. It's kind of done for me there. What I could do is I could add just a tiny bit of an extra delay. Let's do a little bit more delay with the dual delay here. And then we can just go ahead and take out some of the low end, because we probably won't need all of it in there. Okay, lovely. So when that's kind of ready with the low cut, I think I went a little bit too heavy. Doesn't quite need to be so much. Yeah, maybe around there. You can soften that white noise a little bit. Yeah, once that's done, we're going to bounce it out, and this is important because we've placed so many reverbs and delays on it. It's going to have a really long tail, as you can hear if we listen to the end of the sample now. And realistically, I'm not going to want all of that to tail over into my drop. So what I'm going to do in a realistic situation is I'm going to actually cut the end off there and fade it out just ever so slightly. But the problem is when I go ahead and do this in the track, it's still, even though I've faded it off, you know, it's just going to cut out into complete silence. Now you might think, well, why did you cut the reverb tail off? Well, the reverb tails and everything have like a lot of content in it, a lot of low end, and now I've got the opposite. Where I've got nothing, but I want like a happy medium. You know, I want the, like a little room sound, but just a tiny bit. So we're just gonna once we've bounced it out and taken that main reverb and everything off, we're just gonna reintroduce a new little reverb tail. But this one's gonna be very, very subtle and just in the high end. And so I'm just gonna do like a really kind of tight, well, it's not tight, it's got a bit of length to it, but it's just very, very quiet and only in the high end, you know. So it's yeah, the volume is quite low on it, but that just stops it from being a completely like cut off into nothing. So that's like, you know, if you notice my workflow, there's lots of reverb and delays involved, and they're used in different for different reasons always, you know. So the first time round we were convoluting it, just going mental, having loads of stuff on, but then the idea is that we chop the end off, and then now the reason I'm using reverb this time is just to introduce like a little room sound that makes it just, yeah, a little bit more natural finish, you know, but it's not so overbearing. Okay, and that's basically the riser done then. And how easy was that? Just using Vital, using a saw wave with white noise, having the pitch coming up an octave. And again, like I said, you could do the pitch going up just 3 semitones or going up 2 octaves if you were mental. You could have a little bit less white noise, for example. You can change obviously the filter speed is going to be different every time. It's not really so important that you like time it right for that kind of effect where things are getting faster and faster. It's just kind of the idea that it's speeding up is the main key. It doesn't like have to be perfect. That'll just create the tension in the sound, you know. And yeah, when you render it out, then you can use your own plugins, your own reverbs, your own delays, your own tape stuff, creative effects to just further process it and make it sound like it's not come straight from Vital. That's essentially the idea. But yeah, there you go. That's the end of the video already. That was a quick little yeah, D&B riser, white noisy saw wave riser bass that just, as long as you do it in the key of your track and you convolute it enough, and you know, by reverbing and delaying it, you're also you're sort of mixing it into the rest of your arrangement, you know. It's going to like fit more naturally once you sort of wash it out into the background. And so that kind of sound is a classic riser sound used in drum and bass, for example, that you can use across the board in pretty much any track. And if you're struggling for elements and you want to create something new, why not give it a little go? Have a little go at making your own little riser like I've just shown you. And leave us a comment down below if you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much, my G's. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll chat to you guys soon. Peace out. Much love.